Hi everyone, my name is Nicole Miyuki and this is Let's Make Art, and we letter a new project every week together as a community. We are continuing on with our March lettering subscription box, and this is what we're doing. Are we on?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, we're on. I wasn't sure if we were. This is what we're doing. I'm calling it Words to Live By. So this project might look familiar if you have been with us this entire lettering journey of Let's Make Art Lettering. Is I did a similar project, the very first project we did, and I loved it so much, and you guys did too, that I wanted to bring it back. So the supplies, let me flip this over. The supplies that we're using to make this are continuing with our March colors, and I'll do a stroke like that. This is the Ecoline Prussian Blue. Ecoline are watercolor brush pens. That's deep ochre. Then this is the Tombow dual brush pen, pale cherry. And I didn't use this color, but I might, just to show another shadow like we did in the last project, this is the gray N75. And then I'm going to be using watercolor paper. And then I also, if you want, I just took a plate, just a plate that I have, or a bowl or something circular, and use that to make your outline. Okay, that was the supplies. Steps. Step one is there are a few different practice worksheets that you can also download on our website at letsmakeart.com, but these come in your box already printed. So these are the foundation strokes, so that's step one. Step two is you're going to practice a few words. Step three is you're going to draw the circle. Step four is we're going to do the brush pen lettering inside like this. And then step five is we're going to do the sun rays. Then you'll have this beautiful Words to Live By art piece for you. Okay, step one. We good?
We are good.
Okay. Step one is your foundation strokes. So I say this and I want you to, I wrote in my little blurb, if you have our step-by-step sheet that came in your box, I wrote that creating a strong foundation is important not only for your life, but for your letters as well. So when you're taking apart, if you take apart these letters, you will notice that these are the strokes that you are creating that build up to create a word. So what I want you to do is I want you to practice them. So grab one of your brush pens. I'm using the Ecoline one, and I'm going to practice and trace over this stroke. So I'm following these arrows, and I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to go down. But when I'm going to go down is I'm going to apply heavier pressure to create a thicker line, and the downstroke, or the brush pen, is going to smush a little bit like that. So that's how you get that thicker line. So I'm going to go thick on the down, then on the up. So practice these strokes, and if you want to experiment with the other brush pen, the Tombow dual brush pen, you can as well. You'll notice that they feel a little bit different. They're different brands. Each brand has their own personality. But I would like you to practice that. And the reason why is that if I were to not think about this and draw this really quickly, my stroke would look like that, which is okay. But if you're trying to get comfortable with this thin and thick line, that is what I suggest to do, is be mindful of thin on the up, thick on the down, thin on the up. So go a little bit slower. And then what I did was I took the same stroke on this side and I just made it a little bit smaller. So these dotted lines are where typically this is called the X height or the median line, and that is where your lowercase line hits. So I'm just doing it the same way, but it's forcing you to draw a little bit smaller. So maybe if your thick stroke, you don't like it that thick, maybe you just apply medium pressure. And the cool thing is maybe you challenge yourself to see how light you can go. So it's amazing the amount of stroke variance you can create simply by the amount of pressure that you're applying. So once you practice that, then the next step is starting to build up, and like I said, the foundation strokes, let me put here, build up to create the word creativity.
So clever.
I did not do that on purpose. Okay, so what I was going to say is I'm going to switch brush pens just to show you guys.
Do you want to bring that down and to the left?
Have I been in a bad spot this whole time?
Semi.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. Well, now you guys can all see. Can they still see this sheet?
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is you will notice that there's gray lines here and they are broken up. So if you look really closely, there's a space there, there's a space there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the stroke and then lift up. And I'm going to connect the strokes. So that stroke is literally this foundation stroke. And then the E, then on the up, thick on the down, is this guy. It just has, it's a little bit more, the loop part is a little bit more circular. So the A is in two parts, so it's actually a C. And then the stroke where it goes thick on the down, thin on the up. So take your time and go slow and then connect these strokes. And cross your T. So you can continue and do that. There's another word, patience, if you'd like to write that as well. And then this next style that I want to show is if you have your Tombow Dual brush pen, you will notice that if you open both sides of the cap, it is a double-sided pen. So there's the brush pen side, which if I were to write, I can create the thin and thick lines like I was doing. Or if you use the other side, I spelled that wrong, lag. I'm trying to multitask. Is if I use the other side, which is the bullet tip, I'm going to mimic this same style, or I'm going to copy and create this own style, but you'll notice that there is no variance of the thin and thick lines. It is all thin. Oops, wrong side. So to create this, is I'm going to start and just write my letters like I normally would, not thinking about my amount of pressure. And then what's happening is when I would make a thin, thick downstroke, which is the same here, is this part.
Will you push that up?
Yeah. Is that good?
And to the right.
It keeps changing.
Right there.
Okay. Is instead of, yeah?
You're good.
Okay. So what I was saying is that this is a thicker line that was created because I was moving down and I applied more pressure. So if I want to mimic that, I'm going to make this line thicker, and to do that is I'm just going to draw a line like that. So you have the option of you can either leave that open like I did here, and that's its own style on its own, or what it's building up to is foligraphy, where you color that in. And so it'll look the same because I should do it right here. Be helpful for you guys. So that's the first step. And then I'm going to make that line thicker just by basically drawing another line and then coloring it in. So if you want to practice and do this style and get comfortable with this, you can also play with that. So maybe I'm going to leave that open, and that's a few styles that if you see and take a look at what I did here is I did that on friendships. I wrote that on patience. So those are another way that you can use lettering on your own. Now, I realized that I didn't explain why I chose these words for you guys and why I'm calling this project Words to Live By. So I'm going to talk to the camera for a second, and I'm going to say that take this project think of this as, I wrote down, it's like your ball of fire. So I know that this looks like a ray of sun, but are there words that you want to cultivate in your life? I was thinking it's March now at the moment, and maybe you had some New Year's resolutions in January that maybe fell off a little bit by the wayside, which is okay. It happened to me. I don't know if it happened to you. But there's some things that maybe this is just a good time to a little pick me up and realize I want to write down words and I want to cultivate, or maybe they're words that already mean something to you. It doesn't need to be future tense. It can be present tense. I just spit. I'm sorry. I just got really excited for you guys because I think this is a great exercise, and that you can also create something while you're doing it. So it's double, you're creating something and you're using your two hands. And so take the time if you want to write a list, and that's what I did is I wrote down and I wrote words, which I'll go through, that spoke to me. So I'd like you to write your own words that mean something to you. And then once you do that, to prepare for your final project, is I am using watercolor paper. And I realize actually this is the wrong side. Well, so let me explain for a second. There is not a right and a wrong side technically, I said that wrong. Technically, there is a right or wrong side. However, here at Let's Make Art, we believe that paper is paper and you can make it work with whatever you have. So, but to educate you guys, one side is a little bit rougher and the other side is a little bit smoother. When Sarah does watercolor, we usually say the rougher side is better because it absorbs it better. However, with brush pens, you might have heard me say that it's great to keep them healthy, and to do that is by not using such rough paper, which is why I love what paper this is printed on is the HP Premium LaserJet computer paper because it's smoother than regular paper. So that's for practicing. But when it comes to your final project, I'm not using Bristol paper. I'm actually just going to use the watercolor paper because these pens are actually watercolor based. But, so what I did was I drew out quickly and I drew it on the rougher side. So I'm going to draw it on this side because it's a little bit smoother, but it still has the absorbency that will be good for these pens. So what I'm doing, and it might be good so you could see, is I just took my circular plate and I'm using a pencil and I'm simply outlining it. So that's my starting point. Then what you're going to do is draw another circle either on the inside or the outside, either one. And what I'm doing is if you visually, is this a good spot?
Yep.
Visually look at this. Can you see the negative space all the way around?
It also almost makes it look round.
Yeah, oh yeah, it does.
That's cool.
Like a literally ball of fire.
Yes.
So that we are creating that on purpose, and to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make myself a guideline, not a rule line, and I'm going to sketch and I'm going to draw another circle all the way around. So what my eyeball is doing is I'm just guesstimating, whichever word you like to use, the same width all the way around. So I'm just lightly drawing that. And it's okay if it's not a perfectly round circle. That's just, so now what I'm going to do is when I'm doing my lettering is I'm going to make sure that all my letters hug that line and not touch any of that open space. So when you are now creating your final project, you have a few different ways of going about this. What I've done in the past is I would create this on a blank piece of paper and make that my template, and then I would use a light box. So that's one option. The second option is you can draw everything in here in pencil. I would draw it lighter because if you notice some of these colors are light and you might see some of your pencil lines. So that's option 2. Option 3, which is what I'm going to demonstrate, is just going for it. So the beautiful thing about this project is that there is no specific layout. You can make your words in all different colors. You can make them different styles. They don't have to be on a straight line. And so I love this project for you guys because I want you to feel empowered to just go for it. So when you're doing this is, maybe I'll mix it up. My first word I wrote was creativity. So I'm going to take the words that we wrote on our paper. And again, you can pick your own words. But I just want to show for layout purposes is I'm deciding as the designer not to make it perfectly in the center because then it might trick your eye and make you think everything else needs to be exactly puzzle pieced in. So I'm going to draw this first word. Maybe I'll draw laughter to show something different.
Do you want to shift to the left?
Yeah. I'm going to draw my word a little bit to the right, or the left, wrong way, and add an angle. Am I in an okay spot?
You good?
Okay. So I'm going to go for it. Again, you can do it in pencil first if you'd like, but I'm going to go slow. And you'll notice these Ecoline brush pens, if this is the first time you're using it, are super juicy. So it's really beautiful because you're going to get darker colors if you press harder. And what's cool is that you can make this your own. So I realized is if I continue to write laughter, it might actually, I was going to say, you can choose to change your words. Well, it worked out with laugh because I can leave laugh if I don't want to write laughter. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to extend this all the way and have this go all the way over there. So I'm just going to make these letters a little bit bigger to fit all the way over there. I spelled that right. Laughter. So it's okay that it wasn't all the way in the center. Again, now I'm going to keep filling stuff in, and maybe I'll write this word at an angle. So I'm going to take up, maybe I'll start it right here. So as you're doing this, you can decide where you place your words. Creative. So, oh, can you see that?
The ombre?
Yeah.
Yes. It looks great on the side cam.
Creativity. Fun lesson I want to use this as. The Y's are super fun because you can decide how you want to end them. So can you see on this Y, I had it curve up, whereas on this Y, I had it curve down a little bit. You can decide. T's are also really fun to cross. You can either cross them like that, or you can curve them.
I just thought of a creative way to respell creativity.
Respell it?
So instead of creativity, T-Y, you could do creativity, E-A, and draw a little teacup at the end of the word.
That's cute. You don't even like tea.
Nope.
But you're saying for me,
Yeah.
because I like tea.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so then the other thing, I just want to use this as a teaching moment. Can you guys see how you can tell when I pressed harder and it's like watercolors. And if this happens to you, I want you to embrace it. Don't let that bother you if you're like, I didn't draw that correctly. These pens are different if you're used to the Tombow Dual Brush pens, and I'm going to show that as an example, is these pens, the Tombow ones, will have more of a uniform color, whereas these ones, because they're more watercolor based, they act like watercolors. So when you have more saturation, it's going to create a darker color than when you have a lighter color. So I'm going to write, what's another word I wrote? Spirited. I'm going to fit that. So now I'm starting to puzzle piece things together. Spirited, I can write, and it will fit right there. And I'm going to choose to write it in a block font like I did here. But I'm still going to think about my fit on the up, thick on the down. So making it a little bigger. Spirit. So what I'm doing is I'm having to squish my letters to fit, because I drew them a little bit too big, but that's okay.
Nice.
Sweet. So now if you're looking closely, I know this is a lighter color, so it might not be as obvious, but you can tell this is, right, that's a pretty uniform color.
Yeah.
Whereas these you can tell because these are the Eco line. They're a little bit variance of color. So when it comes to, once you've done maybe all three different colors, actually I should preface, is you can decide do you want to draw maybe 5 letters all in one color and then switch, so do them all like that, or I tend to do it where I do this and now I think, okay, I can do the pale cherry right here because the other color is right here. So I'm going to do a word in that color right here. So that's how I tend to do it. Again, you can do it any different way. I'm going to draw the word on the other, or use the other side. So let's see. Maybe if the word courage, because I'm trying to think of a word that could fit there. Friendships is too long, so I'm going to write courage in that spot. And then I'm going to show you how I did this style of when I did laughter. It's the style of...
You didn't quite show laughter. It was a little cut off.
I know, I just went like that.
Yeah. There you go.
This style. R. And again, not following a straight line, just kind of there. Then I'm going to add my thick downstrokes. And I'm going to actually leave them open. I know I did that really fast for you guys, but what I was thinking was thin on the up, thick on the down. Thick on the down, thin on the up. So whenever I said thick on the down, those I decided to make straight. Or make thicker. Okay. I think we're going to, well, I'll do one more for you guys. If you have a longer quote, so for example, I wrote waking up in the slow lane, which was something that my friend said, and I absolutely love that. It's something where I'm sure, I don't know if you do, Sakina, the first time you wake up, you might gravitate towards your phone.
To shut the alarm off.
That's fair.
Because I want to go back to sleep.
But you take it funny. Yes, that does happen too. But the other thing is that you might naturally either go to your email or go to social media or something. And I wrote waking up the slow lane because that's something I want to cultivate, where I just sit there and have some time with myself, or it's reading or journaling. So that's why I wrote that. But I was explaining that because if you have a longer quote that you want to do, maybe when I have that, maybe it'll fit all right here and it could go there. Or I'm going to have fun with it and I'm going to use the lip of this and this line, and I'm going to draw that quote. Let's see. I'll do it with this color because I have these two here, the deep ochre. And I'm going to write it, and I'm going to write it along that line. Like that's my slow lane. But I'm going to make this a little lighter. What I want to show is that even though this is a brush, am I in an okay spot?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Even though this is a brush pen, you can still write your block letters and just not press as hard. Waking. Or if you do want to press harder, maybe I'm going to write slow lane. Actually, I have an idea. I'm going to write slow lane with more space in between each letter. So what I mean by that is I'm going to, maybe I'll press a little bit harder so it's a little bit bolder. But I'm leaving more space in between just to mix it up a little bit and create a little bit of a difference. Slow lane. And that also then filled that entire spot. I wasn't really planning on that actually, but that worked. So I think
it also emphasizes slow
even more
lane.
Yeah.
Schmat.
Okay, one more thing before we speed up and I just finish this off is you have the N75, which is a light gray, and we did this in the last project, but I want to show it as well, is you can add a shadow. So what I'm doing is I'm just drawing, if there's a few words that maybe you want to emphasize, I'm just drawing a line hugging up right against my stroke. Like that. And if you want to make it darker, maybe you do it one more stroke to make it a little bit darker. But this will make the word pop a little bit more. Like that. So you can even do it on the coral or the pale cherry as well.
That does look more like a coral.
Yeah. Because yeah. We have used coral before too. Now I want to compare those two colors. So you can do it like that, or if you want, you can also take the other side of it. And the other way that I've shown to do shadows is you can leave a little space in between. This is a very light color. Draw it a little bit darker. Is I'm leaving a little bit of space in between rather than having it hug up against the stroke. So what that look is creating is it looks like it's a little bit further away this way. Does it doing that to you? On the creativity? Does this shadow make those letters look different than those? Can you see the shadow?
I can't see the shadow very well.
Okay. You can see it so bright in here. Let me go over it a little bit more.
I can see it better on the side, but it's at an angle, so it doesn't.
So it looks even more.
Yeah.
Like it's popping. Yeah, you probably can't see it from the top. But it's a different way to do a shadow and a different thing you can play with. So We are going to zoom. I'm going to finish this. I'm going to continue to fill in my spaces, and then we'll meet back for the last step. Go. Okay, so I filled in the rest of my circle. You guys saw that going along. And one thing that I wanted to say that Keenan and I just realized is when I took a step back, I looked at this and thought, before I'd filled this in, it felt a little bit denser on this side because I have all these thick strokes, and a little bit thinner on this side. So that's not right or wrong, but to balance it out and create a more of a harmony type of design, I decided to color this in so it's a little bit darker. And what else I can do is, because I have all these kind of open spaces, I can either choose to write really small words. So maybe you can write, I'm just thinking of joy, even though I wrote joy down there. But joy is a really small word, so it could fit right there. Or you can draw little lines that come off of a word to emphasize it. That looks kind of funny. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm going to keep going with it. Or I drew a little sun right there, or you can draw hearts. So you can fill in the spaces. The last thing I want to do before I show the raise is the other space when I'm looking at this overhead is I can tell there's some space right here and right here. And I want to fill that in actually because when I go to erase it, then it'll have this same look of it feeling very full. So I'm going to write, what am I going to write? What's another small word? I'm going to write peace here. And love right there. So then it just fills in that spot. Okay, final step is I'm going to use the pale cherry, but you can use any of the other brush pens. You can also do multiple different colors if you'd like. The trick to doing this is I am just looking at the outside line, my outside pencil lines, and I'm simply going to push and let go. So think of it as drawing strokes and blades of grass. And what I'm doing is I'm leaving more space in between that I'm going to do here, because I'll show you a trick that we can go back around. It helps me to move my paper. Sorry, Keenan, if that's not helpful.
Seems like it's working just fine.
Okay. So I'm looking at that pencil line, drawing out from it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go another round and draw in the middle of those. And maybe I'll draw them along, let's see, maybe a little bit shorter of a line and make them thinner. Maybe I won't need to do it here.
This always makes me think of a tape measure.
Really?
The big ones are the inch.
Oh, because...
The middle ones are the ½ inch.
Wait, that's such a great way to think about it. So we're drawing the ½ inch. Then you're going to draw the ½ inch on both sides. And you can decide if, Keenan, do you want them to be taller or shorter?
I like shorter.
Okay. Then even the ½ inch?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to make my ½ inches even shorter in between. So I'm basically filling in, it's every other one. It's easier for me to spin my paper. And again, you can do these in different colors. That'd be really pretty. This is also very therapeutic. Then it'll be cool if you draw little stars or dots going off from it. And whoa, that is, whoa.
That is busy.
That is so much fuller than my original one, which is so cool to show that there's so many different ways to do this. Holy moly.
I think you missed 2.
I did?
Quarter-inch lines.
Those?
Yep.
I'm going to take, I don't have my big eraser, so I'm just going to take this eraser. And now I'm not scraping too hard because I want to try and not smear. But I'm just erasing my pencil lines.
It seems like the left side is darker. So it's like a...
Oh, it's because it's weird.
It's like a moving sun.
Do you like that, or do you think
Yeah,
I should fill it out more?
No, what? No.
What?
It's cool.
Wow, I love seeing how different this one is. So now I'm so excited to see your guys's and how everyone does their own. So when you erase it, now can you see the negative space and the sphere-like that Keenan was talking about?
Yeah.
That looks epic. And maybe I wonder if it feels poppier even just by the fact that I added those shadows. The light gray shadows. Who knows? I think it has a lot to do with the fact that this is darker and fuller. So I think my original thick lines were thicker than any of the lines here. So, woo, that was really cool. And I'm so excited to see your guys's, and I would love for you to share along. We have a Facebook group called Let's Make Art Lettering that you can join if you're not a part of already. An Instagram called Let's Go Make Art. Tag us there. We want to see what you make and share with everyone. And I will see you guys next week for another lettering tutorial. Bye, everyone.